Hello and welcome to Moments con Margarita. I haven't done a video. Yesterday was pretty chaotic, so I just want to let you know where I'm at. Um, my husband was rushed to the hospital yesterday. He had a heartbeat of 180, which normal the paramedics told me is 90. He had a fever of 102.1, and he had difficulty breathing. So we were rushed to the emergency room about 10 something in the morning. And he right at this moment, he's in the ICU. He has pneumonia and fluid in his lower left lung and some type of infection going on in his body, which they haven't yet determined what it is. It's kind of scary because when I tell you about owning your now and living in your moment, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be living in your fun moment or your exciting moment or even a peaceful moment, but we still have to own the moment. And my difficult moment was this morning before I left to come home and get another machine that is needed, and for me to take a shower and console myself. He was asked that if it came to it, if he would like to be intubated. Because it is getting difficult. His mouth is full of saliva and it's getting difficult for him to breathe. He has a nose pillow that shoots air into his lungs because he can't really breathe on his own anymore. And I asked, well, how long before it can be taken out again so he can go back to what his new normal is with the nose pillows. And she said there's a possibility we can't take the pipe out of his throat. And she said, but the good part is it'll have a balloon that covers the lungs, so no liquid or any kind of mucus can get into the lungs. And when she said it can't be taken out, and I'm like, but wouldn't that lead to constant infections, having that, piece of plastic put in his throat? And she says, yes, it will lead to infections and most likely for him to be trached, have that thing put here. And Eric shook his head because Eric, since the beginning, said that he will not have a tracheotomy put in his throat. He didn't want any more intrusive surgeries being done to him where any other stuff has to be put in that is not of him. He had his feeding tube, and after he got the feeding tube, he said he didn't want anything else. So she asked that if he went into cardiac arrest, if they would do chest compressions and the zapping, and he said no. And although we have discussed him not getting a tracheotomy, which means that if he was really having difficulty breathing, the tracheotomy would keep him alive longer, he still said no. So, and he does have a DNR, and he chose that. And who am I, who is anyone to tell someone with a terminal illness how they should live their lives, even though it's tearing us apart? It is ultimately that individual's decision. And although I found it hard when he first said it, I had to put myself in his position. Do I want to keep living in so much pain and discomfort? So that helped me realize, I have to respect his decisions, no matter how painful it is for me. But hearing him say it today in the hospital was a reality, because when we speak about something that may come, and when you're actually asked that while you're laying in the ICU, it was a shock. So I did tear up, but I had to compose myself for his sake. But just hearing him say, when she asked, "Are you sure?" and he took a breath, and he, because he's having difficulty speaking, and he said, "I don't want to keep suffering." And that broke my heart, because Eric is he's very strong, and now you're seeing my weakness, as much as I hate to cry. And he said it with no sadness. He just said it with such a faith. He said, "I don't want to keep suffering, and I'm tired, and if it's time for God to call me home, then let him call me home." And the nurse had to walk out, because the nurse told us that her grandmother had died of ALS when she was about 5. but that stigma stays with you. So when her taking care of Eric, she's been wonderful with him, Nurse Melissa, wonderful. Um, so this is where we're at, but we must maintain Eric's mantra, which is live in hope, awaken faith, and always believe in miracles, because as long as he draws breath, God can still perform a miracle. Look what he did with Lazarus. So I just wanted to share with you, my viewers, where we're at right now. I'm going to be heading back to the hospital. Thank God his brother relieved me so that I could have come home and take a shower and not look like a homeless person sitting there with him. And because that chair I slept in last night was very, very uncomfortable, mi gente. But we own our now, and we live our moment, and we make the best of it, regardless of how traumatic, chaotic, emotional it may be. We have to maintain. We have to try to learn something from it. And from Eric, I draw strength, because I don't know what I would do if I was in his position. I can't say, oh, I would do this, or I'll do the same thing he's doing, or oh yeah, I'll opt for the intubation. I don't know, because I'm not there. And none of us know what we're capable of doing until the very moment we're in it. So remember that. There's always time for change, and there's always time, and it's not giving up. Eric is not giving up. But he has a terminal illness, and only he can say enough is enough, or I'm gonna keep fighting, and we have to respect it. So with that, I want to tell you, keep us in prayer. I didn't really tell a lot of people. Today I informed his children, but I didn't want to say anything yesterday because of the not knowing and my instability of seeing him in so much pain and so much discomfort and not being able to do anything for him. And then the hospital bed, and when we were in the ER for hours, that bed was so uncomfortable, and Eric's totally paralyzed, so he's skin and bone, so anything he lays on causes him 5 times more pain than it would the average person. So, and I didn't want to be bombarded with phone calls or questions, or have a whole bunch of people in that tight emergency room, and call it selfishness, call it whatever. But the hospital has enough sicknesses as it is, and for a lot of people to be in a small room, and that's just how I am, and people can accept it or not. But when it comes to my husband, at this point in our lives, I have to be that shield, and people will be offended. But I also look at it this way: if you were to call at least once a week, I'm giving people once a week to take the time out to call and inquire about Eric's health and well-being, then I wouldn't have a problem to say, hey, Eric's in the hospital. I'll give you an update. I'll let you know when he's in a room so you can come visit. But for those who don't call at all because they figure, well, he must be okay, I haven't gotten a phone call, I'm the type of person that if you get what you give. So if you don't give nobody your time, your compassion, your concern, then don't expect me to be chasing anybody. Hey, this is what's going on, because that's not my personality. Show that you care. Show this man that he's important to you, and then I will give you updates on this man's condition. But other than that, I'm there, and the people who have been active in his life, who call every day, my family in Connecticut, I notified them because they text every day, or they don't call anymore because they get upset with me when I put the phone close to Eric and he has to whisper hello. They say, why you do that to him? Just tell him, put me on speaker, and I'll tell him what I want to tell him. My son is the main culprit of that, but because he likes that. Eric feels love when people inquire about him. He's paralyzed. He can't move. He can't go nowhere. So when people take time out of their day, he values that. He considers that priceless, that they took time out of their day to call him or to stop in and visit him. So I know what that's done to him. I've wiped those tears from his eyes when he's felt abandoned by the family. So if you don't inquire about him, I will not update you on him. I've told them all. So if they're upset, I don't care. Come see me. That's where I'm at right now. So I have to go because now I have to run and pay a bill. It's due today, so I don't get a late fee, because that's how life is. Life continues. And rush back and be at the hospital. Like I said, his brother's there, and I believe one of his cousins are there. So he's not alone. But I feel guilty not being there with him. So, mi gente, when you first open this video, and it's the small picture before you widen it, and you scroll all the way to the end, you can leave comments. And my last video, when I did the call to action, I did not receive any feedback. We're supposed to help each other here. Let's grow together, mi gente. In the midst of chaos, we can grow. The cactus grows in the desert. No water, yet the cactus is full of it. The bumblebee is not supposed to fly scientifically with the small wings, and yet it flies. You are worthy of you taking care of yourself. Let's put this call to action to work. Regardless of where you came from, what you did in your past, that doesn't matter. Like the butterfly comes from a cocoon, a caterpillar, a painful birth into the butterfly from the cocoon. And it's beautiful and it brings joy. Be that butterfly. Be that butterfly. So let's keep up this call to action. I want to find out how many of you bought a notebook. Let's start by that. Don't, even before you bling bling it, take the first step of buying a notebook. I don't care if it takes you a week to bling bling it. But let me know that you bought a notebook. Let me know that we are helping each other out. Okay? I'll see you. I'll try and videotape you with Eric. When it's just he and I, and he's up to it. He's been very tired. And you can see him and send him well wishes as well. So, hug yourself. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Celebrate yourself. Because you are the most important person to yourself. Ciao. Namaste. Until later, maybe, because I might do a video later. Have a great day. God bless.